And we're live. Welcome to the live stream, people. And today's live stream, we're with me and Kevin on the other side. And the last time we've seen Kevin was during our China trip. And now he's on the live stream again, but then in our traditional format. So we're just going to kill some time first, wait for the traffic to come in before we get into the beefy parts. So let's start with a general thing. How are you doing, Kevin? I'm doing so great, Kevin. Can you move a little bit more to your right, I think, and then you're a bit more center. All right. So where Kevin's image is twitching like crazy. Okay. This would have been my next question is how is the audio quality and how is the video quality? Because I'm literally streaming this with a hotspot because I have no internet in my house at the moment. His audio isn't coming through. Can you say something, Kevin? Oh, I know why. Can you say something again? Okay, let me fix this. I had it working earlier. I didn't think anything changed though. Let me see. Oh, I see why. Here we go. Can you say something again?
Okay.
There we go.
I think the audio is fine. It's the video part is kind of glitchy.
Yeah, I think no, it's still glitching. It's OBS that's making it glitch then. Okay, let me try something else. Yeah, Kevin is in reality living on Mars, so it's a long distance connection.
Yeah, no, I'm living in the internet. I'm not a real person. I'm the
Shit,
AI
no!
industrial designer.
How is Kevin's sound? And meanwhile, I'll try to fix this video. Sound? Lane? Can you say something, Kevin? Say anything really. Whoa, his quality is really becoming really bad now. Did I just kill Kevin?
Am I
Oh,
back?
yeah, you're back again. You're back again.
Okay. But is this solving the glitch thing, or
No,
I'm
this
keep
is not part of
glitching?
solving the glitch thing. Your quality is just getting worse by the
Oh
second.
my god. Oh,
And I'm going to throw this on a my issue, so I can fix this. Let's see. I need some help from chat though to see if it's still glitching. There we go. Is it still glitching, guys? Back again, but bad? I think I'm really pushing the limits of my internet now. Now it's still glitching, yes, and now it's good at the same time. Nice. Now it's good? Okay, good. I can't paused my own
Thanks.
preview of the live stream on Twitch because then I can save some upload and download, right? Seems good now. Okay, good, good. All right. And I think I know why.
Is
So let's
the
see.
speed limit till the limitation, or
No, I think because see, no, if I have you on the same screen as as OBS, then it starts to glitch.
ah,
So I finally have like a two-screen setup here. Yes, I have a two-screen setup finally, but
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
I didn't buy a second screen. One is my laptop, another one is my main screen.
yeah.
But still looks like I can't have it all. I'm gonna switch you around one sec. I think it's better to have you on the other screen then, because then I can share my desktop later. Now you're like super big. No, look here, I have Big Kevin now. Yeah, so I'm sorry for the dodgy start here because obviously we always need to have some stream issues, like professional streamers always do. I'm actually going to move soon to a different location, or I'm moving from house, and the landowner of this place didn't extend the contract for internet, so I'm without internet here. So I have to do everything with my phone hotspot. Thankfully, I have unlimited 4G, and it should be good enough. Well, why did Kevin turn white? Okay. Okay. Okay, now it's working. Okay, no, it's not. Why are you turning white? So OBS is just trying to find ways to screw with me. So we're just gonna do it like this. I need to have Kevin open on the front of my screen for whatever reason. So let's continue from here. Hopefully I can do this. It's all Eric's fault. Yes, let's blame Eric for this. Damn it, Eric. Your hotspot's under pressure here. Okay, so how's chat doing? Oh, you can see that. There we go. Let me grab no smooth jazz. Oh God, I don't have music running. That's what you're saying, right? Okay, I can have music running. Let's get music running. No, I cannot have music running. I cannot have music running. Otherwise, we're gonna get internet issues. I'm pretty sure we'll. Chat has a day off. Yeah, nobody in chat is saying anything about how things are going. No Kevin audio.
Did I just pass away?
Yeah, no. You're back. Okay. Okay, now it's all working. We're done. It's all working now. I figured it all out. Okay. Kevin is back. I'm back. I will have no background music for the live stream because I'm a bit afraid it will suck up my download rate and upload rate, and it will make the stream worse. So just in case, no music in the background, unless Kevin wants to sing in the background the whole time and play some smooth jazz. You're mining? I'm not mining. So today's update. So today's live stream, we actually just published a video, the factory vlog, Switch factory vlog video, and we also published a new blog update. And do you publish something else? And we're doing now the live stream to talk about it, basically, because there's a lot to talk about. So there's a lot of stuff that happened within a span of a few weeks that right this week have now come to a more to a conclusion, I guess. So there's a bunch we can share, including if you already saw the blog update also, we have like, and maybe you want to look on Discord, we also have this like final PCBA of the Lekker edition. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening right now. And I see that behind me, it's still a mess. Why did if the 4G is working much better for the live stream than regular times, then I don't know, man. That's going to be really weird. So today, we're first going to start off a bit about the update we just published because it's a big update. We're talking about the Lekker Edition update, which is now the second update that we've published for the Lekker Edition. And this one goes more into the switch. So in the last update, I talked about the changes we wanted to make to the switch, which has now a 4-hook system that we touched on in the last live stream also. But in this live stream, we're able to go in more depth, also based on what we published on the blog. Then we have a couple of things for the Lekker keyboard development, where we need to finalize a top plate color, and where we need to also finalize the PCBA. And after we've done that, we have just a couple little things open. But those will all round up very soon. So we're getting very close to this point where we have the whole keyboard complete. But the last thing that we're now working on and waiting for is the switch. And that's what we're going to focus on a bit on this live stream. And then I've invited Kevin to join the live stream today because Kevin is becoming like the, how should I say? He's becoming like the point man for the projects that are running. Because we just can't get around it. I noticed it yesterday also. Where there was like, I was talking to a new vendor for the cables, and I was trying to use my Chinese to my best extent. It goes slow. You try to communicate a couple of things, because every time I would talk in English, I always feel that things become just as bad as Chinese, but at least in Chinese they type more smoothly and in more details, to put it that way. And it took me an hour to get to a certain point, and then Kevin just jumps in like 10 minutes, he found out everything that I already found out plus more. And I feel like, oh, fuck. So Kevin is, that's why Kevin is in this live stream, because he's also point man on a lot of the Lekker Edition stuff. So who is actually in the chat right now and waiting for his Lekker Edition keyboard? Just gonna wait for that delay. I don't know how big the delay is, to be honest. Must be terrible.
I think it's almost 30 seconds.
Did you check?
I count my movement, and I see at least 30 seconds delay of my movement.
Okay, so we already have 2 people. Everybody's just reading the blog and it's like, oh, never mind that live stream. That's going to take an hour or an hour and a half before you know everything. Just read the blog and you'll know everything. Okay, so we at least have 2 people in the chat. Violet 71. And Quinn, as soon as you pre-ordered, dude, what are you waiting for? So they review every frame by hand. Latency to broadcast and Twitch videos, that's 20 to 22 seconds frame. Well, that's not too bad, to be honest. That's better than what I would have expected. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that to just say it very straight, uh, at the end of the blog, it just comes down to that we can't do a February delivery. So for some of you, it's not a surprise that we can't do a February delivery because you paid very close attention to how developments are going and the timeline that we published before. And right now, we're just setting a safe date on to April. Sorry, to May. I said April because we have our internal dates for doing things. So May
Yeah.
gives us enough time to make sure that even if we get a delay with the switches, that we have some buffer time, that we don't have to start announcing delays after a delay, which always sucks. So I'm just gonna throw that out straight away. That's one of the biggest changes to the timeline. And now let's take a look at let's take a closer look at why. Maybe maybe I'm getting a disconnect, right? Maybe let's start with Kevin becoming white. Let's start with the original Switch design. There we have Kevin back again. I have no idea why OBS does that. Or maybe, yeah, there we go. So let's start with the Switch design. So you want to share a bit more about the Switch design part, Kevin?
Sure. From the first, I think the first beginning, I'm get into evolve with Lekker Switch and Lekker Development, right? And so we have this roughly engineered version of the Lekker Switch, which has the full hooks. Am I remember correct?
Yes.
I think so. And the
So here
full
we have
hook
like
system, as you can see on
I have
the
like
blog.
3 different samples here. I'll put it in the right order. This way. Hopefully we can get the camera to focus. I think it will never really. I can't change the camera manually, so it's always going to be a bit blurry. But you can see the red switch one, that's one of the early samples. You can see that the magnet is also exposed. And then you see the one with the lacquer color, that's what we use the Computex. And then this blue one is one of the latest samples we received for the stem. It's a little bit hard to see. So you could say that this with the blue stem right now is one of the latest samples. You should just ignore the color of the stem because it's just purely for mechanics, not for the color. There we go. Is it gonna zoom?
No.
It focused for a second there. I'm gonna give it up very fast though. But you can see there on the side, there's a couple of hooks. And if you go to the blog that was updated, that was uploaded just now, you can see the hook system more clear. So there's 2 hooks on this side and there's 2 hooks on the other side. Yeah, it's gonna do it that way. So that was you were saying that was one of the designs from the Switch maker originally, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so from the part I took in, we reviewed the 3D models of the whole switch, including the top case, bottom case, and the stem. And from that part, we don't know what we are dealing with from while we stand here and have this kind of experience. And but at that time, we think this is also going smooth, and we just figured it out. It's kind of hard to take out with the full hook system. So we just think, hey, why don't we just swap the bottom cast and leave other things as the same? We just change the hook system into something we like more, and also we change a little bit of the wobbliness issue or something with the stem. We killed tolerance a bit. This kind of stuff. And so I think after almost 1 month, right? We received let's say the final version from the engineer, and this is very nice.
The
And
drawing, right?
it mean yeah, the drawings that it's the drawing, it's a 3D drawing. It's not a real product or even a 3D printing prototype. It's not. So we examined the 3D files and we thought, oh, this is nice, and maybe we can get a quotations or maybe something more improvement of the whole process. But after this, we just find out every single change on the switch, let's say every part of the switch, it all goes to a assembling machine, which you can find out on the vlog, and there's a GIF file on the blog. So every single part needs to be assembled by different vibration plate and different rail, and every single little adjustment of the 3D the part. Let's say if we remove the hook and we attach other kind of mechanism into it, bam, the vibration plate need to be a new one. The rail need to be another new one. And also a lot of jigs on the machine, assembly machine needs to be changed, other things. So we are
The,
facing not only to change the mode or only one button case, we are facing changing a lot of assembling line system. This is
so,
what keeps us in
and
a very,
it's,
very big headache.
and essentially we only thought like, well, at worst we just open a new mold for the switch, which needs some additional testing, and we're done. But then
Yeah,
when they came like, well, when they're at first they didn't clearly explain actually that the issue was with the assembly machine. They were more like finding out, well, why are some things not possible? And then we got a more clear picture of how a switch is actually made, and that this auto assembly machine is not flexible at all. Like, it's this auto assembly machine is tuned specifically for the switch that it needs to assemble, and otherwise you need to exchange a lot of parts of the machine, and that caused a lot of headache at that time. It's okay again. I'm just gonna assume that everything is okay, and then it catches up.
yeah,
So once we figured that out, we um, we almost said, okay, you know what? We'll just have to stick with the four hook system, because there's no way in hell that we can make all these changes. It's going to be super complicated, and we're already dealing with a deadline, and we don't even know for sure how well things are going to fare. So, but then we decided, well, let's first go and see the manufacturer itself and see the machine and try to learn about how things really work. Um, and when we were at the factory itself, that was, I guess, a very eye-opening moment. And you can see that from the vlog, where I go through basically the whole process of making the switch, from the injection to the assembly of the switch. Uh, that there are quite some steps to go through, and especially if you look at the assembly machine. I haven't gone into super much depth about how the assembly machine works, but the basics of it, when you see it and you have this like aha moment, because you can see like, oh, so that's the rail, that's the vibration plate, or those are the jigs where the switch is installed on, and you can more better realize what kind of solutions there can be, and realize what are the things you have to tackle, what kind of things you need to tackle, and what you're paying for. Because when the manufacturer tells you, well, I need to have a new plate and a vibration plate and these jigs and a reel, you're like, what are you
yeah,
talking about? I have to pay this much thousands of dollars for a vibration plate for what? But then when you see it, there's the link. It comes together, and then you're like, okay. So then we said, okay, you know what? Even though it's challenging, it's gonna kill our deadlines. It will definitely make a better switch. Like that's the switch just has to be hot swappable. So we can't just accept this four hook switch where you can't take it out at all. And if we have a chance to make it hot swappable, that's what we should be doing because that's what we initially also set out to do, to make a hot swappable switch out of it.
Yeah.
Um, so after seeing that, even though it's going to be a lot of work and still a challenge, we decided, oh, let's just make the change because it's just going to make a better switch in itself. So yeah, for me, the biggest impact is like that's a lot of money has to go in without any kind of insurance about what you're going to get out of it. But I think you can kind of say that Wooting in it as a whole is we're like all putting our minds and our business on the Lekker switch in the sense of uh, it's going to decide our future. That's how I'm going to put it because this is kind of the switch we've been working towards, and now we're putting a lot into it, and that needs to pay itself back over time. And it's scary also for us when that also means that we need to delay what is basically what for us like the next level keyboard because that's the keyboard also that needs to keep our business going. So it's a scary thought, um, but it's also very exciting because that's what we're why we're doing this, right?
Yeah. True.
I pray for the Lekker Switch success. You and me, my boy. You and me.
We pray every day.
Yeah. So so yeah, so now we're in this process of we already received a new sample of the stem, right? What kind of
Yeah.
changes did you make to the stem of the switch, Kevin?
I make the stem because the first time we find out the first, let's say the Computex Gen 1 switch, right? That switch, the stem cause too much of the wobbling, and that makes the keycaps feel a little bit wobble. And if you press the whole key down to the end point, you will feel the wobbleness being very very obvious. So my actions to this is just to eliminate or narrow it down a little bit on the tolerance side of the stem. So basically, I make the stem bigger a little bit, just very very small size. I believe it's between like 0.1 millimeter only. And judging by the new stem we receive, I would say the wobbliness is kind of gone. It's still there, but it's not like the Gen 1 switch before.
It's a lot more tight.
Yeah.
And then you also added this like little notch to the guide. Well, how do you call that? Like on the stem,
Uh,
there's this like
on the
little
there's a
extrusion.
rail. Yeah. On the stem, you have two, let's say two notch from the both side of the stem, and it go into like a rail system into the sometimes it's the bottom case, sometimes it's the upper case, depending on different switch maker.
You see that
And these two,
you see on the stem has like these two little things sticking out on the side, other than the magnet. It was focusing there for a second. Not gonna wait for it, but you can see there, it's like a small thing sticking out on the side, and the other side there's also a thing sticking out, and that's basically in a those things that are sticking out from the stem is inside a rail that's on the housing. So I don't know how to call it, the thing that's sticking out from the stem, but that's in that rail and that's being guided by the rail. So that's where what makes sure that the stem stays in its place. The
Yeah.
video, uh-huh. uh, so yeah, so on top of that, on top of that thing from the stem, right? You added like a little notch, right? What was the point of the notch?
The point of notch is when the stem reposition to the first place, it will create a sound because during the springs pressure, and the little notch basically should be have eliminate the sound because right now we have a too clear sound of the reposition sound, I think.
Yeah, and it's very hard to test. It's not like it's going to make a world of difference at one time,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah. So there's like a
And
lot
it's
of little improvements, right?
yes.
And also to respond to uh, let's see, Rogier says, did you consider or went for patents? So I'll be just brutally honest about this is that we are not patent people. None of us have any experience with it. Uh, we have heard it multiple times, multiple moments, looked at it at multiple times also, and we've always concluded that patents is something that we should be getting involved with in eventually, but uh, to make and hold a patent, there's also a lot of cost involved, and we simply don't want to spend that cost on a patent, and we rather spend that money on development and brand because we feel that everything that we're making right now, there will always be one thing that is very hard to copy and very hard to get around, and something that we don't need to protect by law, and that is our brand value and the software that we create to emphasize the value of analog input. And software itself is not patentable unless you can link it with hardware, just to put that forward. So that's at the moment how we're operating. Uh, let's see. It's a typical example of hard to create but easy to copy. That's also like, let's even say we did patent the switch, and there would be a copy from a manufacturer, and that manufacturer would be in China, then it's not only that we would have needed to have a patent in China to stop that manufacturer, it's also that we need to use the Chinese law to stop said manufacturer from manufacturing this switch, which comes with a lot of legal fees and unknown territory for us when it comes to the law in China, and even if you have a lawyer there.
Yeah,
So that will consume all your time, consume a lot of money, and to what result? The manufacturer stops making the switch, and then what? You don't earn anything out of it unless they've sold a shit ton of it on the market. If you patent it, let's say we patent it in the US, there's a brand that makes a similar switch in a keyboard and is selling on the US. It is kind of the same story, but then legal fees in the US are more expensive, and the same is for Europe. And legal fees are even also very expensive in Europe, and it comes down to the same thing again. So it's not a strategy that is very sustainable, and not for us in this case, and not something that we've built our business around. If you start doing patents, you definitely need to build your business around the patent also, because we're not selling this patent and we're not selling this technology specifically with a patent to bigger companies or other companies in that manner. So just to share that we have definitely taken a look at this. Uh, let's see, because Highway said, if there's slight delay to release a better product and it doesn't sync routing, it's all good, right? That's definitely true. And this will not sync routing, thankfully. Uh, but obviously, if everybody from the Lekker edition starts refunding their keyboard, it definitely puts us in a very difficult situation because we're also using it to make investments, and that that would be not so great. That would be really not so great, because it's not a small thing. Um, let's see. Hey, about 12 patents give you 20 years holding, but you give all information into it. That's why many good developers avoid patent to give away information. Well, that's interesting. I haven't heard it from that perspective before. That's an interesting perspective. So for us, there's no law in China. Everyone copy whatever they want. Well, thankfully, there's definitely some laws in China, and they are working more and more to enforce those laws to the best extent. But reality is also, this is something that we've also learned, is that even if you have a patent, you can just make a new patent, which is an improvement on your technology, which would make the patent clear from conflict. So there's like many tricks in this like patent field, that our business is just not orientated around. So we rather not, spend all the time and money on orientating ourselves around it until the point that we are a much bigger company, and this is like part of the expense instead of becoming the whole expense. Because then we can protect ourselves with patents. Yeah, fair decision. I think general they do more harm to innovation than help. Yes, Rose, yeah, I agree also that patents do more harm to innovation than to help. But
Yeah.
it's definitely very scary when you think about the idea that, like for our company, the impact might be a bit, well, the impact can be big, but the sunk cost is maybe less. Like if you have a pharmaceutical company spending 5 years in R&D, which is a fixed and it's a fixed cost, and that R&D produces a certain product, and then other companies can just copy that product within a year because now, and you're not protected, then you can basically say that you wasted, well, I mean, not necessarily wasted, but you used to spend a fixed cost of a big amount last 5 years. This other company did not. So guess one time who can sell that same product for cheaper? And that's how things in China work. Uh, let's see. Calder is very serious today. I'm scared. It's interesting. It's just that the patent thing, we've talked about it so many times, and it just like rolls off my tongue all of a sudden. Like, it's a very serious topic also. It's also scary. Like, yeah, it's just patents. Uh, on the Discord, the link to the blog is broken. Oh, I posted that link preemptively, so the blog wasn't live at the time. So maybe it changed just slightly. You can just go to blog.wooting.nl, and it's the top post now. Or someone claims you're violating their patent. Yeah, so yeah, that's like, I have a friend of mine who, it was not for a patent, but it was for trademark. He got a letter from other company claiming that he was violating his trademark and that he should take down his whatever and whatever, whatever. Otherwise, this, that, and that. And he, I forgot the, I forgot the details of the story, but the gist is that he spent quite a lot of time and resource to figure out every detail, and he figured that he was not violating anything, and it was just a bunch of threats. But the other guy had no right or claim on the trademark. But you can imagine that somebody that doesn't put in the time and money, is just going to be scared and close down shop, or it's definitely going to affect your business. Okay, maybe
I think we are going too serious about this topic.
it's interesting how this topic is like becoming the thing now.
Yeah.
If someone patents and ideas you already had, What's even more scary is somebody that I was reading a book which wasn't about patents necessarily, but it involved patents. And it basically came down to that it's like the startup company has something innovative, they patent the innovation, and this other guy has a grudge on said owner of that company. And but he's also like a real patent guy, so he starts thinking about how can this machine in the future be used, which would be the most applicable way of using it. And then he wrote a patent for it, uh, and that basically put the startup company in a position where eventually they would face the consequence of having to pay him patent fees because it would become an essential part of the machine. So, in other words, somebody that is professional patents and writes a lot of patents, they can just think of an application that might be useful without actually making it, and then at some stage emerge from nowhere and start claiming that you violated this patent and you made a lot of revenue operating for X amount of time, and then you need to pay him or her, whoever. Rogier made a good point. Oh, right. Oh, well, Rogier, that's very smart of you. If you publish, blogged about it, that is actually one of our strategies. We just as soon as we have something new or we have this idea, we just publicly talk about it, and in that way, we're also, in a sense, protecting ourselves from patents. Because if we can prove that we had this idea before the patent was published, then we have the right to make use of the idea and we don't violate the patent. So things like Rapid Trigger, the Lekker edition, Future on Lekker edition, we publicly shared about this at Computex. Also with the idea that, well, other than we wanted to show that this is something really cool, it's also the idea that, hey, look, nobody can claim this now as a patent at any point. Yeah, my scroll wheel, no, well, my scroll wheels are patented like hell, I think. Okay, so hey, if you have good ideas for analog input, please share, and then we'll start talking about it in public as much as we can. IBM does that. They patented a watch that unfolds into a tablet on the off chance someone came up with it. Yeah, from Danny Cove. That's exactly it. Yeah, and it's really freaky how this works. But yeah, I don't know. I believe the whole patent stuff is going to change over time, slowly. I know in Europe, uh, now I don't know too many details to be honest, but I know in Europe the whole patent ordeal is better arranged than it is in US. Oh, we might have an audio issue coming up. Wait 1 sec. Oh, give me 1 sec. Okay, otherwise we can't hear Kevin. There we go. But I think the patent stuff is better arranged in Europe than how it's arranged in the US, arranged in the US, because in the US there's definitely some loopholes here and there. Other than, yeah, told many often I should won't because they're obvious or because
Thanks.
So you can see from this conversation already that this whole patent stuff is very it can get complicated. Because even like Oshia says, like even let's say you would say that your patent is not violating this other patent because of how the mechanisms are different, etc. Maybe even though that might be true, you still need to pay the legal fees to prove it, and and the other party needs to pay the legal fees to protect it. If you can't afford those legal fees, then the one that's going to win is the one that has the most money willing to put into it. And that's how in the U.S. law a lot of lawsuits are done, right? Where it's just about the party with the most money has the highest chance of winning a lawsuit because they can pay for much more legal fees. So anyway,
And
go ahead.
I think this kind of battle on the lawsuit will last very, very long. It's not will settle in like 2 years, or it must be like 3 to 5 years. So it's just exhausting, and it
Exactly.
eat all your money. Yeah, yeah.
And WO is not the worldwide patent. It is a temporary right to claim priority in many countries. Oh, that's a good point. So, Rogier, you know quite some things about patents. That's what it sounds like, man. Okay, let's put the patent thing a little bit to rest, uh, and let's take a look at the Lekker switch again. So when we look, if I would link this with the patent part, when we look at the Lekker switch design itself, mechanical design itself, even if we wanted to patent anything, there's nothing to patent for us because most of the switch parts are not patentable. I guess at best what you could patent, but that's not for us to patent. That's for the switch maker, is the magnet placement and how the magnet is installed. That is something you can patent. But
Yeah.
that's trivial stuff for us because for us the most important part in the end comes down to analog input. Like, oh my god, it's such a mess behind me. Didn't see it the whole time I was setting up everything because I'm in front of it myself. So here, this is what is important for us, is what happens on here and how that's interpreted on your PC. That's what the most important thing is for us. And so this is the new Lekker Edition PCBA. And you can see, for starters, is that this big white box there is our new LED. Instead of having how much millimeter is this one again? 3.2 or something? Do you remember, Kevin?
Remove what? Sorry.
The size of the LED?
3528.
3528. So our
Yeah,
previous
that's
one
the
was like,
spec.
I think our the
16 to what? Sorry, I don't remember the little one, the small one.
yeah.
But
So
it's
on
almost to 16 or 18.
I think it's like almost like half the size. So the FlareTech keyboards, our FlareTech keyboards LED light is half the size of this LED light. And you're
Yeah.
really like, why would you go for the bigger LED light? For starters, they are definitely cheaper without less quality or performance. So that's a big role to start with. The second part is, according to Yoon, it's also brighter. And that is something I have to see for my own eyes. But it was mostly that how it started was that in the switch design, there's a lot more clearance for an LED light. And we were looking at, but the FlareTech switch has very little clearance for an LED light. In fact, you can only use one size of LED in the FlareTech switch. So it just brought us to this path of discovery, like, hey, what kind of other LED lights would we be able to use then? And then we just narrowed down to this one. And apparently this is also the most used LED light in the industry, this size, and I think also the manufacturer that makes this specific one. And that's also why it's a bit cheaper, because there's economies of scale. Woo! Economy 101. So bigger LED, more light. Yeah. So according to Jeroen, yes. But why I'm saying according to Jeroen is because I might have the PCBA. I have like 7 more of them right here, but I can't do anything with it because the chip has no firmware right now. And the only way I can put firmware on it is with a debugger. And oh my God.
Hey, they're all.
And I don't have a debugger. It's on its way. The debugger is on its way, but I don't have one. So I'm not able to flash it. So I can't use it. So I have to wait until I receive it. That's the gist of it. But uh, did it still work with only 500 MA? So with bigger, uh, that sounds like a Jeroen question. But if you're talking about I'm not sure what you mean with MA. You're talking with the ampere. Goodness, video and audio so much out of sync. Just listen, seems like sound. Oh, okay, I was already afraid that would be the case, that my that the audio would not be in sync with the video. But you can blame my 4G internet and Bluetooth microphone right now. Is Kevin in sync though?
I think
Kevin,
even though I'm sync from your side, it's broadcast the whole video and audio, so might be a chance I'm not sync.
I think you're not sync.
Yeah, I'm always
Milliampere.
glitch.
Oh, so okay. I thought that would be the case. So with the milliampere, it should be about the same. So it doesn't make a difference with the milliampere. But and I would have to ask Jeroen this because I thought this would be the case, but Jeroen at that time said that would not be the case. But now that he said it's brighter, I think it is the case. But I said that time my thinking was, well, same amount of milliampere, bigger LED light should equal brighter light, but that doesn't have to be the case apparently. So yeah, so even though USB 2.0 says 500 should be the max, that's definitely not the max you can push it to. We've been able to push it to like 900 and it just still, like, it still accepts it. It's just that the spec and the standard for USB is just really a mess. And if you want to get above the 500, I think we adjusted it for the Wooting too, but I think if you make all the LED lights white on your keyboard, then you're really pulling out the max of milliampere, and it could get above the 500. I'm saying could because I don't know if Yoon reversed it or removed it or not, but it used to be above 500. Okay, here we get the question because of what we're talking about. So when can we be expecting a Lekker Wooting 1? Oh no, this is Wooting 1. 2020, begin, mid, end. 2021, no plans yet, etc. The Lekker edition, so a Wooting 1 Lekker edition is like a very obvious thing for us to do. But honestly, right now it's not even on the roadmap to have it done before a certain time because what we do have on the roadmap right now is Wooting 2 Lekker Edition. There is Wooting 2 regular version coming. There is a new keyboard coming. Is how I'm just going to put it, what we're planning. And then the Wooting 1 is more like it's not in between there because otherwise we get too much stuff. Um, but it should come afterwards. But you see, we didn't make a firm decision for Wooting 1. So even though it would be very obvious for us to make Wooting 1 with Lekker switches inside, there hasn't been a firm decision in it because there is some other things we want to roll out before that happens because it still takes quite, it's not like, change one production from the other and we're done. There's a lot more that needs to be done to make a Wooting one Lekker switch. So Lekker switch version.
Yeah.
Am I sharing too many secrets? Can I use my pre-order discount coupon for that? If you have a Lekker edition pre-order discount coupon, which was only given out at the special Wooting meetup that very few people know about this discount, then the answer to that is no. That's only for the Lekker edition. So yeah. So I think we will have a better alternative for the tankeeless first before we make the tankeeless one. I'm going to put it that way. Most designs have some headroom, but what if all the other ports on the hub, blah blah? I'm just going to. There is such a thing as too many secrets. Share all the secrets? Eee. Like we try to share as much as we can. We can't really share too much about what we exactly plan to do next, unless there's been a very firm decision in it, or it's in development. Because for the company that we are right now, things change a lot over even a 3-month course. So, and the second thing is obviously we don't want to, or we try not to, because it does happen because we share things too early. But get people's hopes up for something, and then in the end we don't have it by that time. There we go. Man, so many Wooting upcoming. I have no idea where I could store them, where I should store them. Oh, okay. So anyway, let's continue a bit. So Kevin, you're going to receive some top plate samples soon.
Yeah.
So how
And
are we on
after
the top
I
plate?
receive them, we can make a final code on the color of that aluminum chip.
And you can see an example of the aluminum chip. Just to clarify. So for the Lekker edition in the last update we focused on the bottom case and the color change. Well, it was not necessarily change as in that we were actually trying to get the color we were looking for. So now in the new blog post, the first picture you see, you can find some aluminum anodized samples of what the top plate color will be. There's 2 samples. There's a link for the blog. Right. There's 2 samples, and we need to choose one of the 2. They look very much the same, but Kevin will look with his eagle eyes. Well, I don't think eagle eyes are the right word because it's more that you have to be very color correct. But uh, Kevin will take a look with his designer eyes and then pick the correct color out of the 2. Just because you make exciting new things, that's why expectations get so high. So keep it silent. Time to build an IKEA Wooting shelf. And I think that would be the best idea, to get an IKEA Wooting shelf. So I like what Rogier says here, because that is exactly how I would put it. Done when done over everything. No rush to market, and keep communicating as good as you're doing now. I think, and I just wish we were able to communicate more often with and more polished is how I should put it. More often and more polished. That's how I wish to communicate more often in the future. Nice 3D model. Oh, of the Switch, right. So you can
The
also see
switch.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can also see the original design of the Switch with the 4-hook system on the blog, the 3D model of it. You can see the hooks much more clear. And that's also what's installed in here. So This is a plate that Kevin specifically made with all different hole sizes to test the hook switch and see what the limitations are. And this is also what brought us to a much faster conclusion about what we should be doing for the switch. Passes away in fear. Okay, so I think I want to change the topic a little bit from. I mean, if there's a question still about Lekker Edition or the update that just was published, or about the timeline, then you can throw it in, ask away, no problem. But otherwise, I want to take a look at the wrist rest because we haven't talked about the wrist rest now for a little while. And the only thing we've been talking about is how we're going to release it in December. But in great Wooting fashion, we talked too early. So maybe Kevin can give an update on the wrist rest. Because, well, let's be, okay, wait. To be fair though, okay, the wrist rest could have definitely delivered in December if it was not for the repetitive polishing and checking of the coating of the wrist rest. That's how I'm going to put it, okay? Didn't expect that. Didn't
Yeah.
expect that, okay? Kevin, please share.
We spent, I think, almost 3 weeks to test the new top coating on the wrist rest. And why is that? Because we are running some resistant tests on the top coating, and we find out it failed and it's not good enough for our product, because wrist rest is some products your rest will rest on it a lot of time. So it will have a lot of different testing with the human sweat or something, salt or alcohol testing. And the previous test report, we didn't very happy with it because it really not fail. It fails as what we expect. And so we just keep talking to the factory, and which this factory guy is very supportive for developing this product with us. And we try
Yeah.
a lot of different top coating. I think
I
it's
think I have to
great. Yeah.
emphasize also that the owner of the factory, we're really thankful for the owner of the factory because he's actually really fast in the feedback, response, and fix of everything.
And
So
super supportive, I would say that.
yeah,
And helps a lot to clear things up and to make things more well. Yeah,
yeah,
better,
to make it
I would
better.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's really treating it also as a quality product. He wants to really deliver on this. Yeah,
yeah. And so let's say due to this delay, or because we want to try the best top coating or reach the quality it should have, so it will have a delay. And Calder, how do you expect on the delivering that?
I'll look into my glass bowl,
Yeah.
see what it answers. No, okay, well, there's this one thing that I should have known, but I should have known this, but I totally underestimated it. But um, he shared how long the production would take in total, and what was it, 18 days
18 days,
to
work
do,
days,
yeah, for the wrist
to
rest,
do
right?
the mass production and
Uh,
also the packaging.
Yeah, 18 days, 18 working days. And that kind
Yeah.
of blew me away because I thought it would be more like a week.
I think this is because our research is kind of big and it has a lot of material in it. So the molding time for per piece is kind of long. So it
Yeah,
means in one day you can only produce a certain piece of the wrist rest.
What we can calculate was like you could say it was like what I remember is like has to be 20 minutes in the oven or something. So
It's,
let's take
yeah, yeah, 20
let's
or 30 minutes.
yeah, so let's take 30 minutes for one wrist rest. Let's take a 10-hour workday for running machines, right? So then we have only 20. Then we have 20, right?
I
But
think
then
like
our
15.
15,
15 per day. Yeah, 10 hours.
uh, why 50?
Because you use the total amount and you use 15 work days and 10 hours per day, you will get.
Okay, so I was thinking like one working day is 10 hours, half an hour for one wrist rest, but we have two cavities in one mold. So that means you have two
Mm,
wrist rests per half an hour.
three cavity.
Oh,
I
there's
think
three
it's
cavity?
three.
Oh,
Yeah.
he increased it to a third one? I thought
I
he.
need to double check, but I think it's three. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then we have three cavities. So that means three wrist rests per half an hour. So then we have 60 on a single day, right? And then
Yeah.
we're gonna make 2,000 of them. Oh, that's like a month. How does he do it in 18 days? You sure he doesn't have four cavities? That's like 25
Three is,
days.
yeah.
He's like a magic man. Those machines are running throughout the whole day, not 10 hours.
I think it's, yeah, it's 24 hours. It's not 10 hours. They just got two shift.
Holy shit. So if I would have just done that calculation, I could have known that it's definitely not going to be a week. uh, so that kind of took us by also by or it took me by surprise that it would take so long for the production itself. But it's obvious in the end. You can actually see how the silicone product is made from the vlog that's on live right now, from the silicone factory. And the wrist vests go through the same process, but the time that it's in the oven is just much longer than the sample product that we showed on the vlog. Um, so this is something that I also didn't consider. So now, in the end, you can expect that we're going to deliver in January instead. So we have the final polish of the mold to remove some of the CNC parts. We have the coating. Uh, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong. Next week, Wednesday, you're receiving what should be the final sample, right,
Yeah,
of the wrist
with
vest.
the correct top coating onto it.
Yes. So once Kevin is able to confirm the final wrist vest, then they can start doing the mass production. That mass production should still finish within this this month, but because we're in such a busy season, I'm a little bit doubtful in how we can arrange the transport.
Yeah.
And otherwise, even if we arrange the transport and it's in the warehouse, we're going to be in the middle of Christmas and New Year's Eve, and I don't even know how we're going to able to deliver things. So it's a very shoddy time period. So you can expect to deliver in January instead. And we're launching the product. Um, we're going to launch the product at earliest is 2 weeks before we can actually deliver. And the way we calculate it is the moment that the goods go out of the factory, um, it should take nearly 2 weeks before it takes about a week to arrive in our warehouse by air, and then give it another week before there's actual like shipments and deliveries happening. So the moment that it leaves the factory, that's the moment we're going to release it for sale, and then we can ship it straight away within 2 weeks. That's the plan. So January. 2,000 is a big number. Yeah. So why is it such a big number? Because we have to make four colors of two different models. So that's
Yeah.
500 per color, 500 per color, uh, and then for two models. So that's why you quickly get to 2000. And we're very confident in the product, of course. So we're double downing. Air will definitely be expensive. So yes, air will definitely be expensive. I need to like I've done the logistics behind it, but I've not made the decision yet on how I exactly want to ship it. So most likely, depending on the time that it's going to be done, I'll do a batch through air and the rest by boat, for example. So in that way, we don't pay air shipping for the whole thing. But the amount of boxes are not, I mean, there's quite a lot that fits. Like I limit it to 40 now per master carton, right? Yes,
14 in one
40 in master,
master
yeah.
carton. Yeah.
And then you should imagine we ship it to two different warehouses, one US, one in Europe, in the Netherlands. So it's only 25 master cartons. And you could say that fits on two pallets. So that's a pallet to each. So probably, yeah, probably gonna ship some of those by both. But again, I'll make that decision when it's logistics time. Uh, okay, so then uh, talking about Sinterklaas, hopefully everybody in the Netherlands had good Sinterklaas and a lot of presents in the shoes, including a keyboard, which I doubt that goes into shoe. Was it like pakjesavond yesterday? Like I'm totally out of touch with Sinterklaas and when stuff is done, but pakjesavond is never on the same day, right? Pakjesavond is when the real presents come up. So in the Netherlands, you have Sinterklaas, which is basically like a Santa Claus, but then he comes on a steamboat with a bunch of colorful helpers by now. Um, and at some point, or multiple occasions or something, he'll come to different locations to put candy and a whole bunch of stuff, little stuff in your shoe. If you put it at what's that called? If you put your shoe at the uh, whoa, I totally forgot the word for it. The chimney, but not the chimney, but then the thing that makes the smoke come out of the chimney. What's the name for that again? Help me, please. Uh, I have the Dutch word just popping in my head the whole time. This is really annoying. So that thing, um, and then at some point you have another day where people just give big ass presents to each other and say that Sinterklaas gave it or Santa gave it.
I think the stream is stopped or temporarily.
Uh-oh. Getting internet issues? Oh, it's almost 10 o'clock also. Oh, oh, I think we're back again. OBS says we're back
Okay.
again. So Bashir, you say chimney, but chimney is the place where he would come in. But what's the actual thing that makes the smoke come out of the chimney? So yeah, Darren, yeah, it is the origin of Santa. Unfortunately, Santa Claus is a lot more popular. The open heart, that's the Dutch word. Fireplace? Yeah, there's a better word for it, right? Fireplace. You're not going to tell me that in English it's fireplace, right? There must be a much more expensive and better word for it. You're shitting me. Let's ask our big friend Google Translate. Fireplace. Oh, okay. Here's another one. Hearth. Hearth? Hearth. I think it's you say hearth. That's the expensive word, I assume. Hearth. Hearth. That's why you have Hearthstone. No, what is it? Hearthstone, right? The game from Blizzard. Give me one sec. Hey, do. That's my signal that the stream is getting way too late. Chimney is the thing on the roof. That's right. Chimney is the thing on the roof. Yeah. I see Chinese New Year's January 25th. Yeah. Chinese New Year is indeed on January 25th. In the blog, I also
Yeah.
talk about Chinese New Year. It's also one of the reasons why the whole Lekker Edition uh, project gets more delayed than what we'd want it to be, because you have this whole month February. You can kind of assume a week before Chinese New Year, it's just going to be all dead. So all the factories close.
No process. Yeah.
I normally call it open heart. Yeah. Because that's the Dutch word. Let me write it. Harf. Herf? Harf. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Harf. Some names, or Sinterklaas goes by many names in many different places. I think you in Finland, which and Germany used to also be like that. Or it was Denmark. There's this like totally evil version of Santa Claus. It's called he's much more evil. It's more about punishing, actually, and that if you're not good, that he'll come and really punish you badly if you're not a good kid. I forgot the name. Russia, rah, rah, rah. I forgot the name. I don't know what the name is anymore. So during Chinese New Year, you can do software improvements. So this is exactly what I talk about in the blog also. So we're not going to waste Chinese New Year, obviously, because there's enough that we can do in software side. Which then is a great chance because we have no excuse then to work on software. Better distance. Okay, okay. So, hey. So we need to start rounding things up. Come on. Okay. So we need to start rounding things up.
Oh, there's another arrow on the network.
This is my phone also telling me.
I think Taiwan Star has a limit after 10 p.m. or something.
Oh, is that it?
Maybe it's that thing. I don't really know. Never try it.
Okay, well, in either case, we need to close on this stream anyway. Ooh, no, no, no. Yeah, no, no, no. My daughter coming to grab everything that I have on the ground here. Put it here. Okay. So,
Yeah, we are back. Yeah.
are we back? So let's round up.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. So let's round it up. And thank you for joining. So thank you for joining the live stream. We'll have. So we have the update out. If you haven't read it, read the update. There's also the Switch vlog out. Yeah. Hey, poopy. There's also the Switch vlog that's out. There's a lot more to talk about in the. There's an update still coming about the keycap languages, and we talked about this in the last live stream already. It's coming out in the next month already, because a couple of things are just rapidly developing right now. So keep an eye open for that, and then we'll have another live stream in 2 weeks, and then of course End of the year, we have end of the year live stream. So get out your notebooks that you've been making notes in the last whole year in preparation for the end of the year quiz, because that's where you can win the real prizes at Wooting. And talk to you guys next time. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye.